Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 origin continent based on novel. So let's start. Luo Feng's spiritual will observe the crimson scales shimmering with a 12-colored radiance, which emanated a tremendously terrifying oppressive force. Even Luo Feng's spiritual will felt an immense burden. This crimson scale is far more terrifying than the huge eye in my dream memory. If the will of a god king in the ultimate realm were to face it directly, they might go insane. Luo Feng compared in his heart and naturally made a judgment. Previously, he had been unable to probe deeper into the Star Tower, which was actually a form of protection. As his spiritual will became strong enough, he naturally managed to probe into it. Of course, that huge eye was merely an image from a dream memory. If it really existed, the real huge eye, and this blood-colored scale, it would be hard to say which is more terrifying. Is the will beyond the God King level merely a prerequisite to observe it? Those beyond God King level secret treasures in the land of origin, I've heard none so terrifying, thought Luo Feng. The emperors and monarchs of the two ancient countries are all equipped with secret treasures beyond the God King level. Relying on ultimate realm life forms and powerful secret treasures, they were able to compete with the Lord of 10,000 Realms and the Sector Beast. According to legend, the ancestors of the two countries could fabricate, beyond God King level secret treasures. These emperors and monarchs, except for Emperor Qing and Emperor Ming, their wills are all merely at the ultimate realm of God Kings. Many of them also have to expend effort suppressing their chaotic bloodline will. Their spiritual wills, to unleash the power of those treasures. How could those treasures compare to the Star Tower? Luo Feng deduced based on known intelligence and the information gathered from the infinite space treasure vault, among many aspects. The Star Tower should far surpass the common, beyond God King level secret treasures in the land of origin. This made Luo Feng even more cautious. Let's see how powerful the Star Tower is. Luo Feng's divine power tried to permeate the profound and vast secret patterns deep within the Star Tower. Of these patterns, Luo Feng only understood a little at the shallowest level. A deeper investigation left him completely baffled. It was like a kindergarten child on Earth facing a thick book on advanced mathematics, unable to understand even the symbols. Of what little I can understand, I'll study thoroughly first. Luo Feng was rather invigorated. The more complex these secret patterns were, the higher the level of the Star Tower. I can discern life, destruction, causality, time, space, matter, world, infinite, and extreme point. These are the tracks of the 9 essential great Tao's under the supreme rules. Luo Feng, having once merged his heart with the supreme rules and observed these 9 great Tao's, albeit not understanding the other paths much, could barely categorize them. These secret patterns surely encompass more than 9 great Tao's. The deeper they go, the more tightly they integrate, until they finally form that piece of blood-colored scale. Based on the shallow layer secret patterns, life-related patterns account for 34.1%, destruction-related patterns 9.2%, and material-related patterns around 7%. Luo Feng could fairly accurately judge life-related and destruction-related patterns. However, his judgment on the material patterns, though rough, was far too vague for others. Life is the core. The other types revolve around it. After categorizing, Luo Feng felt much clearer, and his divine power began to penetrate. To drive the secret patterns, one must first comprehend most of them. It's like facing a tangled mess. The first step is understanding how to unravel the mess, methodically, step by step, with no mistakes. The secret patterns deep inside the Star Tower were such, only much more profound. The order of activation, the order of integration, how to coordinate. With a considerable accumulation in the directions of life and destruction, even on how the two could integrate, Luo Feng studied the shallow layer patterns continuously, driving more and more. Cultivators usually focus on one great Dao. It's quite rare for one to practice 2 or 3 Daos. This scale contains at least a dozen kinds of Daos, yet manages a perfect integration. Luo Feng was also quite shocked. In the process of researching and driving the secret patterns of life and destruction, Luo Feng's horizons were greatly broadened. The combination of life and destruction has so many methods. The way I tried to integrate them, compared to it, is far too rudimentary. Luo Feng felt like a parched desert, frantically absorbing water. The methods of combining life and destruction within the secret patterns of the Star Tower greatly expanded Luo Feng's perspectives, giving him many more directions. Boom! A fusion mystery of the Great Tao suddenly emerged in Luo Feng's mind. It was the mystery of a perfect integration of the sky-splitting branch and dark sky branch of the Great Tao of Destruction origin, thoroughly demonstrating all possibilities of this integration. Second realm of Godly King. Luo Feng realized. This was his first insight into the deeper secret patterns of the Star Tower, when he naturally reached the second realm of Godly King in the Great Tao of Destruction origin. This was also due to his profound prior accumulations, and because of the scale of destruction, he had trained an avatar of the destruction demon race. The accumulation in the Great Tao of Destruction origin had long surpassed the path of life unknowingly. These two branches, once completely integrated, allowed Luo Feng to easily create numerous moves based on the integration mysteries of sky-splitting and dark sky. However, such moves were of little help to Luo Feng's strength. Instead, I could create an escape secret technique. With a thought from Luo Feng, an outline for an escape secret technique was already forming, which he estimated he could fully perfect in just a few hundred days. Search the novelia.ne *t website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality.
But Luo Feng was not distracted and continued to study the deep layer secret patterns of the Star Tower. This research lasted nearly half a century. Only then did Luo Feng feel the difficulty in making progress. I can drive the secret patterns reasonably well now, let's see how powerful they can be. Luo Feng was quite curious. This time, with even more powerful power of the world completely ignited, the deep-level secret patterns of the Star Tower began to be activated. The Star Tower was situated within the quiet room of the Huyang City Lord's mansion, and Luo Feng had released his world domain to cover the surroundings, isolating any external prying. At that moment, the Star Tower shook slightly, its aura causing the world domain released by Luo Feng to tremble. Luo Feng felt as if he was in control of a colossal entity that might rampage uncontrollably with a power that could surpass the Great Extinction style. What terrifying power! Luo Feng felt it briefly and did not dare to fully deploy it. Once deployed, Luo Feng was not confident that he could completely contain the power. This power is also somewhat terrifying. Luo Feng was somewhat astonished. The secret treasures that could be exchanged in the infinite space treasure vault, those legendary secret treasures from the land of origin, should not be able to unleash such power, even at his second realm of Godly King status. After the transformation of the spiritual will, I could sweep through most of the Godly Kings on the land of origin. But those emperors and monarchs? I'm not confident. Emperors and monarchs, they all possess ultimate realm life forms. Ultimate realm life forms are incredibly complete in themselves and partly resistant to the effects of spiritual will. Moreover, the emperors and monarchs of the two ancient countries also possess beyond God King level secret treasures which more or less hold resistance against the spiritual will. With these two aspects combined, merely relying on spiritual will, Luo Feng estimated he could somewhat affect their strength, but killing them seemed unlikely. Apart from spiritual will, my experimental combat strength compared to emperors is still weaker. Once the Star Tower is exposed. Emperor Qing, the ancestor of East Extreme Domain, the ancestors of both nations, if they make a move to contend for the Star Tower, can I survive? In front of those figures, his spiritual will is useless, even their spiritual will might be stronger than his physical body? Techniques? The gap was enormous. There's no need to use the Star Tower yet, Luo Feng thought, and in time, without external aid, my strength will reach a new level. It wouldn't be long before he could comprehend the 24 forms. Then, with the help of primordial bloodline biological materials, he could cultivate a higher realm of world life form. The 10 directions world form is the entry to the world life forms. The 24 forms truly display the power of a world life form. Luo Feng looked forward with anticipation. Maybe without the Star Tower, I could even match an emperor or monarch in strength. In the primordial bloodline creatures at the second realm of godly king strength, those with the 24 forms are considered top tier. This is still these primordial bloodline creatures with low intelligence. In Luo Feng's hands, the world life forms of the 24 forms, naturally, would have even greater power. Luo Feng's spiritual will could also make the world life forms even more formidable. The techniques of the land of origin have a limit, the limit of the God King ultimate realm, which is also why primogenitor Yang Feng could not kill the Mother River Master. The stronger I get on my own, the more powerful the Star Tower can be. Right, there's also this. Luo Feng looked at the colorful lotus heart seed in his hand. The lotus heart seed, rooted within the inner world, could grow into a life lotus. Besides increasing the alignment with the great Tao of life origin, it also makes the inner world more stable, fills the physical body with endless vitality, significantly enhancing the physical body's strength. Life lotus. After exchanging, Luo Feng obtained more detailed information. The larger the inner world, the better the life lotus can grow. The life lotus could also be transferred to the outside world, even used in combat against enemies. Inside the body, it also strengthens the physical body. Planting. This lotus heart seed, naturally, Luo Feng planted in the inner world of the true body of the world life form he could control as his spiritual will had transformed, allowing him to drive an even more formidable world life form. Currently, Luo Feng's small universe continuously absorbed energy to the greatest extent, channeling an endless supply of perfect divine power for the growth of the world life form. Whoosh! World life form, inner world. When a seed fell deep into the earth, in just a moment, a streak of green broke through the ground and grew rapidly. The growth rate of the life lotus was astonishing. It used the entire inner world as its foundation, growing taller and taller, petal by petal unfolding, until finally, after 1009 days, the life lotus had grown to the limit that the inner world could bear. It was all in shades of green, with huge lotus leaves like worlds themselves. 36 green lotus leaves occupied 1/10 of the entire inner world, while its roots permeated every part of the inner world's earth, making the inner world even more stable. If Luo Feng were to release his world domain, its power would greatly increase. This life lotus, connected as if one with the great Tao of life origin, naturally possessed endless vitality. Flame Wind Ancient Country, Chu capital. Under the night sky, dressed in black, Luo Feng leisurely flew over the city. After the path of destruction, having reached the second realm of godly king, I am now capable of glimpsing the entirety of the path of destruction, making Morosa much less useful to me, Luo Feng said with a slight smile. To master a branch of the great Tao, one can glimpse parts of it. Reaching the second realm of godly king, one can glimpse the complete Tao and even wield some of its power to some extent. If one is at the ultimate realm, then they have mastered the complete Tao themselves. Once my life path also reaches the second realm of godly king, I can also disregard the assistance from the primordial cosmos. Many precious opportunities from the past are continuously declining in importance. Saw the novelfire.nt website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Like the once shot Wu Wings, as an eternal true God-level mechanical flow secret treasure, it was of help to Luo Feng when he first arrived at the land of origin. But as his power increased, it became merely a treasure of some commemorative significance.
The primordial cosmos will soon become redundant. Morosa would still be of some help if he reached the ultimate realm. The Lai Yuan technique, as the highest form of the secret technique of willpower I have encountered, still gives significant assistance. The Star Tower, the further I progress, the more important it becomes. Luo Feng found it interesting. Back in his home primordial cosmos, when he was weaker, he even considered the values of the boat of Mausoleum, Showu Wings, and Blood Shadow Knife to be greater than that of the Star Tower. It shows that when one's strength is weak, even with treasures in front of them, it's difficult to see through their true potential. Even his master, Mountain Sitting Guest, who personally crafted the Star Tower, only regarded it as a God King grade secret treasure. He hadn't seen through the Star Tower's true nature. Sigh. As Luo Feng thought about this, he flew leisurely and soon arrived at the palace of Emperor Chu. He came to the palace of Emperor Chu to receive the subsequent inheritance of 8 tribulations life form, and extermination of 72 blades. He only needed to demonstrate the mysteries of the path of destruction, at the second realm of Godly King to prove that he had reached the realm. A moment later, Luo Feng had now completed the entire inheritance of the 8 tribulations life form, and extermination of 72 blades, for all stages of Godly King. Of course, Luo Feng now only referred to these 2 inheritances. Compared to the special grade inheritance, they are indeed much simpler, and their secret techniques are more common, thought Luo Feng. The special grade inheritance represents the theoretically strongest moves at the same stage, and their complexity is staggeringly high. For instance, the life form with 24 forms, contemplating the essence of the 24 forms, and researching the matter suitable for the 24 forms, Luo Feng has barely begun to comprehend just one aspect of it. For example, the Unity Secret Method from the Chaotic Whole Beast Body is a combat technique tailored to the Chaotic Whole Beast Body. Luo Feng has only studied the combat technique, and hasn't contemplated the Chaotic Whole Beast Body, but rather uses the technique with a stronger world life form. So with these 2 special grade inheritances, Luo Feng has only partly grasped their theoretically strongest moves. After learning the inheritance, Luo Feng naturally came to meet his master. He had saved about 200 million guest official merit points with these 2 inheritances, so of course, he came to thank his master. Luo Feng, Emperor Chu smiled upon seeing Luo Feng. He was extremely satisfied with this disciple. Becoming a Godly King in just over 200 years, now at the second realm of Godly King. This talent amazed Emperor Chu. Master, I have already received the subsequent content of the 2 inheritances, Luo Feng said. Emperor Chu nodded in satisfaction. When you first became a Godly King, you were already unmatched in the first realm of Godly King. I knew your talent was terrifying, but reaching the second realm of Godly King in such a short time, there are only a handful in the history of the land of origin faster than you. Luo Feng knew that indeed there were some who became Godly Kings of the second realm faster than him. This was also due to his lower realm comprehension of higher-level secret techniques, honing his comprehension. Your cultivation path is going smoothly, said Emperor Chu. Some with high talent may shine brightly in the beginning but suddenly hit a bottleneck, and become mediocre. Yet, you have smoothly broken through to the second realm of Godly King. For you, the next target is the ultimate realm. Emperor Chu said expectantly, the ultimate realm is many times more difficult than the second realm of Godly King. You still need to diligently focus, and cannot afford the slightest carelessness. Disciple understands, Luo Feng certainly understood. As your strength grows stronger, Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. Some of the disputes and conflicts of your teacher may implicate you. Implicate me? Luo Feng was startled. You are my disciple, Emperor Chu said. Before, when your strength was weak, those at the pinnacle of the land of origin would not even notice you. But now that you have become a Godly King of the second realm, you've entered their field of vision. Who are they? Luo Feng inquired. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. Who do you think are my enemies in the land of origin? With the transformation of Luo Feng's spiritual will, fully concealing his will and hiding his presence, his sensitivity was still acute. With the master sitting there, the formless pressure was terrifying. Much stronger than Emperor Chu, and even more than the Mother River Master. Luo Feng had seen the Mother River Master, Wind City Empress, with his own eyes. These two, through their realms and treasures, could fight beyond their class with Emperor-level powers. But in terms of life-form majesty, they were far from the Emperors. With your strength, Master, the main opponents you'd have on the land of origin would be other emperors and monarchs. Very few stray cultivators could stand as your opponents, Luo Feng said. My archenemies are mainly the other emperors of Flame Wind Ancient Country. A coldness flickered in Emperor Chu's eyes. Luo Feng was startled. Flame Wind Ancient Country and Thunder Ancient Country are natural rivals. When facing external threats, the 13 emperors of Flame Wind will naturally band together to confront the enemy. As natural foes, the lines between friend and foe are very clear. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng, but it's different within the borders of Flame Wind Ancient Country. Whether it's exploring the multitude of treasure sites, various opportunities, or the distribution of resources, that's where most of the conflicts arise. In the depths of the treasured lands, to seize treasures, one would go as far as to murder a fellow clan emperor. To strike mercilessly against another emperor's disciples, to annihilate their entire lineage and take their treasures. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. On the surface, there are 13 emperors of Flame Wind Ancient Country, but the grudges run deeper than with any wandering cultivator in the world. Luo Feng listened, secretly alarmed. There had long been rumors in the outside world that relations between the emperors were extremely poor, and indeed they were true. In the future, you must clearly distinguish who is the enemy and who is the friend. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. Among the 13 emperors of Flame Wind, Emperor Qing is the most transcendent, with the strongest ability to rally others. Next comes Emperor Yang, someone you must be wary of. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. Emperor Yang was the first emperor of Flame Wind Ancient Country. He once led the country and held great power over the distribution of resources, because back then, he was the only emperor of the country, and he was very friendly toward the imperial clan, helping many juniors. As a result, he wields great power even today. He and Di Wu are like siblings, sharing a life and death bond. He and Di Shi are husband and wife. Emperor Yang, Di Shi, and Di Wu, these three have always moved together. Being old enough and ruthless enough, they have also amassed the most treasures. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. All three have a full set of God King grade secret treasures. The three of them joining forces is incredibly terrifying. Among the 13 emperors of Flame Wind, Emperor Qing ranks first, while Emperor Yang, Di Shi, and Di Wu rank second when teamed up. Emperor Ming has spiritual will beyond the God King level. This allows him to draw out even more formidable strength from his primordial bloodline body, and his secret technique of willpower is also terrifying. He should be considered the third power among the 13 emperors of Flame Wind. All the other emperors, including Di Fu, each has their own interests, none keeping a perpetual alliance. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. Bloodline cultivation paths, apart from Emperor Ming, are generally more violent and rash. The primordial body refining route is relatively more rational, but once they scheme, they are even harder to deal with. Luo Feng listened and understood. They say Di Fu is highly talented, possibly the next Emperor Qing. But in terms of strength, among the 12 emperors other than Emperor Qing, Emperor Ming is the strongest. My archenemy is Di Wu, a foe as bitter as death. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. This has also led to Emperor Yang and Di Shi targeting me. The disciple understands. Luo Feng nodded. I was ambushed by her and fell into the polluted blood river, at the very depth of the land of origin's first treasure land heavenly pillar realm. Normally, a second realm godly king who comes into contact with the polluted blood of the polluted blood river would be contaminated and die instantly, with the pollution even affecting their avatars, leading to total death. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. I sank to the bottom of the polluted blood river myself, and as an ultimate realm life form, more than 90% of me was eroded. I was on the brink of death, but luckily I obtained a secret treasure at the bottom of the river, which allowed me to escape alive from the polluted blood river. If there is a chance, I will definitely kill her, Emperor Chu said calmly. She deserves to die, Luo Feng nodded. Among the emperors, is there anyone who has a good relationship with the master? Luo Feng asked. Emperor Chu was slightly taken aback, then said, no. Although not friends, at least the other emperors don't have a death grudge against me, Emperor Chu said. As for the grudges between other emperors, I will send you a detailed report. Luo Feng received the report and glanced over it. Upon analysis, Luo Feng discovered that Emperor Chu wasn't so bad. Like Di Kong, his relationship with all the emperors was very poor. Emperor Ming, he had made moves against all other emperors except Emperor Qing, forcibly seizing treasures through overpowering strength. Because he was so powerful, none of the other emperors dared to forge a death grudge against him. Similarly, Emperor Ming also had no real friends. My master Emperor Chu is quite all right among the 13 emperors, Luo Feng thought to himself. I had not expected Emperor Ming, who was so friendly to me, to be such a domineering and oppressive character. If you ever get involved with other emperors, let me know immediately, Emperor Chu said. Don't make hasty decisions. It's easy to fall into a trap accidentally. Don't worry, master, Luo Feng replied. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Everything happened just as Master Emperor Chu had predicted, and within just half a record's time, Luo Feng's guest official token received a task. Within Huyang City, Luo Feng was surprised as he looked at this particular task. He had received many tasks over the long years, but this task was somewhat special. The task read: in the royal family Forbidden Land, there are 192 worlds, each cultivating 192 primordial bloodline beast eggs. They require the strength of a second realm, godly king, and need to be meticulously cared for by 192 avatars. All that is required is careful cultivation for 3,000 records. Very few guest officials can complete this task, and after discussion by several emperors, guest official Luo he was assigned this task. Luo Feng was very surprised. Assigned to me? Unless it's a punishment like being the guardian of Xiangjie City, normal guest official tasks are entirely voluntary, and the guest officials have the right to refuse. This video will end here.